Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday and March 21st. I'm losing track of time. Outdoor knocking every day, getting petitions signed to get on the ballot here in Arizona. So I've been extremely busy. That is all I do in my free time, and go to meetings at night and talk to my constituents and people about why it's so important to get rid of the Democratic representatives we have here in LD9 in Mesa, Arizona. We have obviously a veto queen for a governor, and we've got two representatives who have really done nothing. None of their bills have been heard. And we've got to get some fighters. We've got to get a bigger majority of Republicans into the House and the Senate here in Arizona in order to start overriding the vetoes that this veto queen governor of ours is doing. Everything that is in a positive move forward for the people of Arizona that the legislators have been doing this session, election integrity, border security, those types of things are immediately vetoed and obviously voted no on by the Democrats in the House and the Senate here in Arizona. The very things that would protect the sanctity of our votes, the very things that would protect the citizens of Arizona, protect lives, stop the drugs from coming over the border that are killing our citizens. And those are the very things that these Democrats vote no on. And yet they go out and preach to you that they care about you, that children are so important, that your lives matter. But, again, on the flip side, they fight for abortion to be able to kill babies. They fight for, just like this federal judge did, they fight for illegal aliens in our country to be able to have Second Amendment rights. This is something that I'm going to go into today, a few of the things that have been happening. So a federal judge has just ruled recently in a case where an illegal was caught with a gun, even though he didn't use it for any violent crime. This judge then ended up ruling that illegal aliens have Second Amendment rights in the United States. And I hope everybody understands the danger that this presents, because this is an open invitation to the armed cartel. Hey, come across our border. You're welcome here. You can carry guns. You're illegal. Doesn't matter if you crossed at a port of entry or came across the barbed wire, over 300 miles of barbed wire in southern Arizona. Come on over, bring your ammo, bring your guns, and welcome newcomers, as Biden likes to call them. So this is going to be a big problem. And the big question is, that was never answered in this trial, that this federal judge just said, this person didn't commit any crimes, and he can have a gun. The big question that wasn't answered was, where did he get the gun? How did he purchase the gun? Did he bring it with him when he came over the border? These are the kinds of questions that we need to have answered. This has also given power to the terrorists who are here, who have already crossed over our border. I read a very interesting article that the majority, and I mean like over 75% of the known terrorists who have come across our borders, this article was saying they've come across our northern border through Canada. So I'm finding that really interesting, because the way that the cartel has it all set up, and the way that these, the Middle Eastern terrorists, I know that they have spent a lot of time down there in Mexico, shaved their beards, learned how to speak Spanish, and they really don't even have to say anything, because their appearance makes them blend in with some of the South American and the Mexican illegals who are coming across the border. So to come across the northern border, I didn't really read a whole lot of the article before my podcast started, but who would they be blending in with if they're just coming over? Do they come through the ports of entry and gain access that way? Because the Border Patrol is really, I don't think that Mayorkas has given the Border Patrol the actual tools that they need to check a database, to have any of the information the United States has on potential terror watch list. Is that information really given to our Border Patrol agents? Do they have it? Are they using it? How are these people getting across? Just like that one guy, the gang leader, the leader of the Satans, one of the worst gangs down there in Venezuela, he came across here. He's the one that there's video on the internet, on social media, of him going into a butcher shop and just shooting people. And then he's come across the border here, and when he was nabbed, after he had already been released into the United States, when he was nabbed, he said he was just seeking asylum in the United States. These are the types of people that President Trump is referring to when he says they're not sending their best. And why don't our Border Patrol agents have the tools that they need to sort these people out as they're coming in, seeking asylum? That is the time to turn them back right then and there. You know, then you've got the guy, his name is Barbecue down in Haiti, who burns people for enjoyment, burns them alive. That's how he got his nickname Barbecue. And, you know, there's people from his gang and the people that are associated with him that are feared that are already up here in the United States. You've got the United States military talking about sending people, our military, down to Haiti to stop this unrest that's happening. And it mainly has to do with famine and these gangs and cartels down there in Haiti who are in charge, who are disrupting the supplies that are being sent in for these people because they are hungry. They are without food. And this is what this unrest is coming about. This is why these people are going to start starving. And my big question too is, where is all the money that Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation raised for Haiti? Where is it all, folks? You know, it was a lot more than $25 million that Hillary Clinton raised. And that's how much money We Build the Wall raised. And we built 2 sections of wall. And they still came in and decided to indict everybody that they were stealing money from the donors. And I've talked about this before on my previous podcast. Where's the money from We Build the Wall? Southern District of New York came in, charged them all, threw 3 people in prison. And where's the rest of the money? It was close to $20 million that was left. Where's the rest of that money, Southern District of New York? Where's the money, Hillary Clinton? But the difference with We Build the Wall, and we were doing something that was protecting the American people and doing something good and had complete accountability to all the donors. Excuse me, allergies today. They came in and decided to charge all these people with crimes. But Hillary Clinton can skate off into the sunset with the, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars that she raised and do nothing with that money, except probably she went down there and probably got some kids, is what she probably did. That's why she wanted access to Haiti. But you've got the wrong people being charged with crimes, and it's the people who are doing something good for America. Trump came in and completely upset the agenda of what these evil people had planned to get rid of the Western civilization, to get rid of the last free country in the world. That's it. We're it. We're the last one standing. And yet when I go door knocking and talk to some of these people, and they're registered Republicans, and they're saying to me, I'll sign your petition to get you on the ballot, but I have a question for you. What's your question? Are you a conservative? Yes. I'll never vote for you, ever. Then why are you registered as a Republican? I'll sign your petition, but I have a question for you. Okay, what's your question? Do you support Trump? Yes. I will never vote for you for supporting Trump. He's a criminal. What other option do you have? He is going to be our candidate, our Republican candidate. What other option do you have to vote for? I'll vote for anybody and everybody but Trump. Then why are you registered a Republican, honestly? Because if you're willing to vote for Biden for 4 more years, just stay home and don't vote. If you don't like the Republican candidate, then just stay home and don't vote. Don't give a vote to Biden. Don't give a vote to promote this evil and prolong the evil that's happening in our country. We don't need it. I was at an event last night with Jerome Davison, and he's running for Congress in CD4 in Mesa in Arizona, Congressional District 4. And he is a pastor. He is a former NFL football player. And from the moment I heard him talk in 2022 when he was running, then he was poisoned at the tail end and was in the hospital for weeks recovering from that, because I think people felt he was a real threat at the time. But he's running again, and he's stronger than ever. And just listening to him talk and the conviction he has, and he doesn't care. He's a black man. Jerome Davison, look him up. Jerome, Jerone, Davidson, and he doesn't care. He's a proud Republican. He's a proud conservative. He's put out the most controversial video for his campaign where he's carrying an AK-15 and the Ku Klux Klan is coming in hoods, and he's standing there as a black man ready to confront them. And it was pretty controversial when he put it out, but this is the kind of guy he is. He stands by his convictions and his beliefs. He knows we have to protect our children. He knows we have to protect our border. He knows Joe Biden's no good. He's trying to talk his fellow Democrats into please see the light and understand how these people use you. This is all about power. This is all about an agenda, a one world agenda. And we've got to stop them in their tracks. We did it for 4 years when we voted Trump into office. And look at how furious they were. Look at how we've worked them up into such a frenzy that anything and everything that man says and does causes a lawsuit to be filed against him. What more proof do you need that this man is a threat to them and their agenda? That's it. Anytime somebody fights this hard and tries to discredit somebody this hard, then you know something is right about this person. And that's where we are in today's world. It's like, and I'm not comparing myself to Trump, but when I was slated to speak at the 2020 RNC, and it retweeted something out that morning about the Federal Reserve and got a hit piece put on me that afternoon, anti-Semitic angel mom is speaking at the RNC. They immediately had to attack me because I was the only person that was going to be speaking about illegal immigration at the RNC in 2020. And they immediately had to get rid of me. And so they were probably zoned in on watching anything and everything I was doing on social media and just took it and ran with it. The unfortunate thing is that the Republican Party fell for it. And they canceled me out that night. Instead of standing up for me, knowing my true self, knowing who I am, knowing who I was. And the funny thing is that a Jewish rabbi did an hour-long video after having gone through my social media and saying this woman's not anti-Semitic. So they attacked me then. And then when I was running for office in 2022 here for LD9 for House Representative, somebody who really doesn't have the same political views as I do, and who was very good friends with my son, sent the Democrats a picture of me at a Halloween party from over a decade ago. And so, of course, then I was called a racist, a violent racist. So I'm anti-Semitic. I'm a violent racist. I have very good Jewish friends. I have friends of all ethnicities. I gave birth to 4 half Hispanic children. I have 2 half Korean grandchildren, you know, and yet these people can label me a violent racist. And those are the key words that they can use to have people absolutely turn against you. And by the way, folks, these articles and this kind of information about you stays on the internet forever. So all of these things that are happening to Trump, anytime his name is Googled, all this garbage about all these lawsuits will be the only thing that will come up in a Google search. This is the control they have over everything we do, everything we see, everything we hear. For years, and it cost tens of thousands of dollars to clean up a Google search because, look, folks, I've looked into it. For 10 years, I fought about my son's death, about open borders and trying to warn the American people. And all of those articles and all of those things that I did are just shoved 2-3 pages back in a Google search. Now, when you search my name, you're going to find that I'm an anti-Semitic angel mom and that I'm a violent racist. And those are the 2 foremost things up front about me now. Isn't this a sick, disgusting world that they won't allow us to decipher what we want to look through, what we want to read about the person that we are researching? No, they're going to tell you what you're going to read about. They're going to tell you what you need to think about this person that you're researching. And that's a sick reality of the internet. And it's only going to get worse. So speaking of that, Jerome Davison has an Internet Bill of Rights that he wants to put forward when he gets to Congress. And it is protecting us and protecting our content and protecting our information and how these social media companies use our content and play it over and over and over and make money for themselves. No, this Internet Bill of Rights will actually allow you to make the money off of your content and the things that you put out on the internet. You need to go to his website, Jerome Davison for Congress, and really read up on this because he's the only candidate for Congress that I've heard ever speaking about this sort of thing. And it's brilliant. Honestly, it's thinking ahead of him, of the times. It's not anything that current candidates are talking about that are running for Congress. So today, I wanted to talk about this second right, the Second Amendment rights for illegals, and just how dangerous this is going to become. There's going to be more and more cases, especially with these dangerous Venezuelans that are here, these gang members from the Satan gang, and there's 4 or 5 other gangs that are represented now here in the United States. They are going to be obtaining guns. They probably already have them, but they're going to feel more entitled to carry them out in public. And because there is no international crime-based database for Border Patrol to look at and for them to decide which of the good and bad people to allow to even come in and request asylum, which is a crock of shit. That database, does it really know everything about these gang members? Because they come across the border and they say their name is George Rodriguez. They're not going to give their real name and of the name that they've committed all the crimes under in their home country and give away their gang affiliation. This is going to become a dangerous precedent that this judge set here in the United States. And I'm really, really scared, frightened, because what is this going to do for our law enforcement with these dangerous illegal criminals being able to carry guns around because they haven't committed a crime in the United States? What a dumb judge. And I hope everybody in her district decides they need to do a recall and get her off the bench. We need to get these kind of judges off the bench. We don't need these judges interpreting the law and deciding how they're going to decide a case that day because of how they're feeling. Their oatmeal didn't settle well with them today. So yeah, we're just going to allow illegals to have Second Amendment rights. They're not U.S. citizens, for God's sakes. This whole broad thing about allowing anybody who walks across our border to have constitutional rights when they're not even a citizen of the United States is wrong. Is wrong. And these are the types of things that our elected officials in DC need to be addressing. There was also an article yesterday. I want to pull this up. Well, first of all, I want to show you a couple videos. Let me find this. Sorry, I got to go back through. That's not it. There's two of them, so I want to pull up both of them because one of them. Oh, it's a social influencer from Venezuela, folks. So I'm going to share this with you. I'm sorry. When you're going to share these screens, it's a little hard. All right. This is the first one. Just listen to what this guy has to say.
Ser que no le va a dar ni siquiera $1 para que se coman una hamburguesa.
Give you $1 to eat a hamburger.
Quédense en los refugios hasta que ustedes
They want you to stay in the shelters
estén preparados
until you are
para
prepared to face this
enfrentar
harsh
a este duro sistema
United States system.
de United States. Recuerden que hay programas que los respaldan, que los
Remember that there are programs that support you and that will help you and allow
ayudan y no van a permitir que ustedes duerman en la calle. El único beneficio
the only benefit I tell you
que les digo son de las casas que podemos invadir o no invadir, expropiar para que suene más bonito.
To make it sound more beautiful.
Pero
so basically what this social influencer from Venezuela is saying on the internet to his fellow Venezuelans here in the United States is they're fed up basically with what they're not being provided with. And that they're being, he's telling them not to leave these shelters. They can't force you to leave these shelters because they put 30-day bans or 30-day, that's all you're allowed to stay there is 30 days. They've extended some of them, but he's basically telling them, don't leave these shelters. They can't force you to go out and live on the streets. So number one, he's doing that. And now the second one, and I forgot that he speaks his home language and it's all interpreted on this, but I'm going to go ahead and share this one with you and stop it and tell you what he's saying on this one, because this is very concerning. And if you look at him, he's just nasty. You can tell he's mean. He's angry. These entitled illegals who have crossed our border, and look at his face. There's hate. He's not here in the United States because he wants to become a United States citizen, folks. He's here to do damage and to do as much damage as he possibly can. Just listen to the tone of his voice and the hate that seeps out of everything that he says. I have thought about invading a house in the United States.
Ya que me enteré que existe una ley que
I found out there is a law that says
dice que si una casa no es,
if a house is not inhibited, we can
habitada, podemos expropiarla. Capichi, muchachos, aquí en
guys, here in the United States, it also applies the land invasion, and I think that will be my next business. Invading abandoned houses. Since I have looked for some codes with my friends, African friends, and they told me that they have already taken about 7 houses. And as the saying goes, Daddy, you have to look for the return. And the return right now is to invade houses, since we are not in the street situation. And in the only way we have to not live in the street and not be a public burden. The law says that the abandoned houses deteriorated, and that is in bad condition, and they can basically go and invade them.
Y repararlas, vivir en ella, y si podemos, venderla. Hasta pedir créditos con ella. ¿Qué dicen ustedes?
So this is the kind of dude. He has over 500,000 views already. Listen, folks, this is a Venezuelan gang guy here starting up his old gang activities here in the United States. So you've seen recently on the news of all of these homeowners here in America who have come home and they're squatters in their homes. And it's not illegals. It hasn't been in the past. But they just had one, I think it was back east somewhere. The woman came and found that there were squatters in her home and called the police and everything. The police ended up arresting her and taking her away from the home that she owned. And there's been many, many news reports about these squatters who it takes the owners 6 months, 9 months, a year to get these people out of there. There's a story about a man who's been living in $1 million home for years. He was renting it at the beginning, quit paying his rent, and they've been unable to get him out of the home. This is what the laws are doing. And you know, when you stop and think about the things that are happening, so you look at interest rates, price of homes, home ownership is becoming next to impossible for new homeowners, right? And then you look at the people, you know, when COVID came through and they were unable to afford their mortgages and all these people lost their homes. There was a big foreclosure wave that happened. Then you've got BlackRock and all these investors who are coming in and buying up all the homes that are going up for sale on the market. So you've got all these investor-owned homes, rental homes, that they can charge rent up the nose. And then you've got builders and investors who are building communities of these small 1,200, 1,400 square foot homes. There's several of them here in the Valley, in the Phoenix area. And they build all these homes, this whole subdivision of homes, and all they do is rent them out. They don't sell them. So now you've got illegals coming into our country, and I guarantee you this is going to become a big issue. These illegals are going to start squatting in these homes, and they're going to take advantage of them in areas like Philadelphia and in Detroit and in areas where the homes are abandoned and run down. They will go in and take over complete neighborhoods. Look, they're handy people. And he even talked about in there, we can go in and repair these homes and take them for our own. They will go in and repair them. They may not be working a job, but they sure as heck will have the money and the wherewithal to repair a home and go live in it, won't they? And then of course, in these blighted areas of Detroit, you know, the city of Detroit will probably just end up selling them to these illegals after they fixed them all up for $10. Give me $100 and the house is yours. Here's the deed. You know, this is the sort of thing that they're going to start doing. Things are slowly deteriorating in the United States. Slowly, little by little, slowly, little by little. And if you're not paying attention, and if you're too self-absorbed in your own life to realize that the life that you have could soon go away because you're not paying attention to what's going on around you, then shame on you. We have got to start understanding this is an evil game that they have put into place. We've got to start being one step ahead, and we've got to understand their agenda. We have to know what they're up to. We have to get the right people in office, the grassroots type people who understand what's happening. You can't allow this to continue going on and on and on. You can't sit home and not vote in the primaries. You can't sit home and not vote in the general election, folks. I don't care how tired of politics you are. I don't care how sick you are of hearing about it. I don't care, if you haven't voted in the last 4 elections, get off your butt and go vote this year. It is that important. There's so many good people running. And when I went to this event last night with Jerome, and he allowed Robert Scantlebury and I to speak and a few other candidates to speak, I was saddened to see how few people were there at this event. I put it out on my social media a ton. And I'm sad to think that my constituents and the people who have voting rights in our areas are not out listening to these candidates. If you've already decided who you're supporting, great. But if you're sitting on the fence, and if you're thinking politics is just a waste of time and you're sick of hearing about it, I challenge you to get off your butt and go listen to some of these candidates speak. Get motivated again. Learn that there's new blood. There's new people who are out running for office in the state of Arizona who can make a difference in what's happening here. If you're not registered to vote, and if you're leaning towards a more conservative thought process to where we need to close our borders, we need to protect our children, education rights, we need to protect our constitutional rights. We need to work on getting some real campaigns out there to recall some of these judges who have taken it upon themselves to reinterpret the laws and not sit on the bench and uphold the laws. We need to be activated like the Democrats are activated. We need to show the world, and especially our country and our states and our cities, that we see you. We know what you're doing. We're paying attention. We're going to push, our grassroots candidates forward. We're going to make sure that your evil agenda gets no further than where it is today. We're going to pray to God that all of the money that falls into your hands goes to waste, that it'll never be used against the good people of the United States in an evil manner. We need to pray every single day for our law enforcement folks, for their safety, for our military. Reading that article last night about them we've already got troops on the ground in Taiwan, on the outlying islands, is what I was reading. And now we've got the Biden administration talking about sending troops down to Haiti. And that we've got to have people on the ground in Ukraine. They may not be on the front lines, but we've got military in Ukraine down on the ground. And at some point, you have to wonder, when are we going to become defenseless in our homeland? And is this part of the plan to deploy our military out anywhere and everywhere, but at our southern border where the invasion's happening, where the terrorists are coming over, where these Venezuelan gang members are coming over? They're going to come in and start some big movement to where it's going to be like Black Lives Matter. These people are going to be desperate sooner or later. When there's no more room at these shelters, to think that you've got this stupid Democratic leadership in all of these cities telling people you need to open your homes and let these people come stay with you. Open your home up. Be an example if that's what you think we should do. None of these elected officials will let any of these illegal aliens come into their homes. So don't you dare, none of you, let any of these people come and stay at your home. Your safety is more important than the lack of shelter for these illegals. Why did they come here to begin with? It's not because they want to be part of America and become American citizens. It's because they're coming here for economic reasons. And I've told you over and over and over, and I'm going to keep saying it on my podcast. It is expected that $774 billion is leaving our economy this year, 2024, that these illegals will send home to their families. On top of the $451 billion that our government is spending of our tax money to support them here while they're here in this country. doing nothing. As I watch a video of two illegal girls, one carrying a baby, strolling the streets in New York, pushing a stroller, and they're saying, "Oh, we're staying in a hotel. We have room service every day. They change the sheets every day. They provide us with food. Are you guys looking for jobs?" Oh, no. Why would they look for jobs? If you went to a foreign country and they put you up in a hotel for free and provided food for you, and you could just stroll around and sightsee and be a tourist and live there for free, would you look for a job? What person in their right mind would look for a job when everything is handed to them for free? And these Venezuelan gangs that are coming here, and any of the Venezuelans, Nicaraguans, and Cubans that the Biden administration is flying in, 30,000 of them a month. Is it a month or a day? 30,000 a month, I believe. Those people aren't going to come here for jobs because they've lived in a place where everything was handed to them by the government, especially the Venezuelans. The government decided what they could have and what they couldn't have. So they come here to the United States with that mindset. Give me a house. Come on. Give me a place to live. Give me some food. No, that's not good enough. I want better food. All right, we're not getting what we want. Now we're out on the streets because the shelters are full and overrun, and we've been here for 60 days already. They kick us out onto the streets. What do you think they're going to resort to? The same gang activity they were doing back home, folks, because they didn't come here to assimilate. They didn't come here to change their ways. They came here to see what they could get. And this gang activity is not pretty with some of these Venezuelan gangs. And I mean, it involves cutting body parts off and killing people, stabbing them, mutilating them. This is not what we are about in the United States. And you need to hear this kind of stuff to understand that it is more frightening than you could ever even think. The things that they show you on TV, if you're lucky enough to see it, and if they decide they're going to show anything about this crime that's happening, it is PG rated compared to what is happening and the articles that you can find when you research. It's disgusting what they did down in their countries to people. They just found 5 bodies stuffed in an SUV just across the border in Mexico, right across the Arizona border, and 7 more bodies by the border. Dead. All of them were dead. Is it a warning? Were they trying to smuggle people and hadn't paid the cartel? You know, this armed cartel, gangs, terrorists, they're just across the border in Arizona now. Well, they have been for decades, but I mean, more of them are coming because of, you know, what's happening in Texas, but they're armed, folks. They've heard already that the judge ruled that illegals could carry guns in the United States. They'll be coming. All of these little things that are happening are going to be adding up to big things. And I just had a woman who does a lot of research for me send me an email. She's a military wife, and she sends me 20 to 25 articles a day. She's a godsend. She gets all this information to me. And I have my computer set up now, my phone too, to where if any of these articles are in Spanish, because a lot of them are, that they're immediately translated. So I'm able to read these articles and see what's happening. And that's where most of the graphic stuff is. And there's just no holds barred. They put everything in these articles of what these criminals are doing. But she said to me last night, she said, I have a feeling something's going to be happening very, very soon with these terrorists who have come into our country. And I think she's right. I think this is the unsettling feeling that I've been having with me for the past few weeks. Something is coming, and it's not good. You have to stay very aware of your surroundings, folks. And, you know, people live in a bubble because, like where I live here in Arizona, even though a lot of this illegal transporting and bringing them up from the borders, these NGOs and the buses, and bringing them up to Tucson and up to Phoenix, to the Greyhound stations and to the airports to give them their free airline ticket to wherever they want to go. There are areas of this state where the illegals congregate and kind of hang out. And we don't see it in the area where I live. And I'm sure a lot of you don't see it in the areas where you live. And therefore, out of sight, out of mind. But know that the crime and how things are going to turn out in New York and in Chicago and in Los Angeles and different areas across the country where they've kind of pooled because, there's high-end stores. There's rich people who live there. It's happening here in Phoenix, Scottsdale area, Paradise Valley, where they are these foreign gangs are burglarizing homes. It's happening a lot in Los Angeles, but it is happening here in the Valley. They're starting to do that sort of thing. So, make sure you lock up, make sure you get alarm systems, make sure you get cameras put up outside your homes. It's worth the investment because you never know what's going to happen. They're going to start moving into the more urban, rural areas. And I just have a feeling, bad things are coming, folks. There's just no way that it can't. When you've allowed millions and millions of people, 10 to 12 million people come over your borders in the last 3 years, and you haven't planned far enough ahead. Biden wasn't even in office to plan for this sort of thing, but he campaigned on open the borders, rush the borders, everybody come to the borders. But he didn't even have a plan in place at that time. So as he's campaigning and he's saying this sort of things, these people are gathering and getting their caravans together and rushing the borders, and they're waiting, holding onto the fences, waiting for the inauguration day to happen. And the flood started. There was no plan in place. So all of these people started coming over. How are we going to feed them? Where are we going to house them? What kind of jobs are they going to take? Well, like Tyson Foods just announced, they're getting rid of 44,000 jobs that Americans have because they're going to be giving them to illegals. Why? Because they can pay them cheaper. They can even pay them under the table. They can even have illegal children coming in at night and cleaning up the slaughterhouses. That's what these types of companies do. So don't buy Tyson products. Let them know, no, we don't approve of this. And I read a very smart quote by Thomas Sowell, and he said, well, first of all, there was many of them. I was intrigued by all of the things that he had been writing. And I just want to read a couple of them to you because, let me see. Immigration laws are the only laws that are discussed in terms of how to help people who break them. How true is that? Let me see. There was one. A lot of them. Look him up. Thomas Sowell quotes. Look that up and just read some of the things that he's put out there, because it's amazing. A 2-sentence statement that he puts out there, and you're left going, wow. The words and the thought just kind of settles into your brain, and it's like he does it in such an eloquent way. Stopping illegal immigration would mean that wages would have to rise to a level where Americans would want the jobs currently taken by illegal aliens. True. And they talk about, back in the day when they had the seasonal migrant workers coming up from Mexico to harvest the crops there in California and in Arizona. But listen, those people have never been paid for the good, honest days, hard work that they put in. They haven't been paid properly for decades. And that's the one thing that I will say about America that saddens me is that they do take advantage of the underlings and the underdogs and the illegals who come into our country. They do take advantage of them, overwork them. You know, there's reports and true information put out of how these young illegal children, 10, 12 years old, are working in these slaughterhouses at night, cleaning up the floors, all the guts and the blood, and doing this sort of thing. This is slavery, folks. And this is basically what they're doing to all of these illegals. It's modern day slavery happening in our country right under our noses. And the Biden administration is facilitating this. And they have no problem continuing with this. They won't admit it in the words how I present it to you, that it's modern day slavery. They present it to you under the nice new words, asylum seekers, and Joe Biden's favorite new word, newcomers. These newcomers, we welcome these newcomers, these welcome centers that they have all over the place. Ben Bergquist just did a deal in Atlanta where there's a welcome center that's kind of hidden away, and he was walking in the parking lot, and he was actually told, I mean, it's on camera, it's on his Instagram account, and they say to them, this is only for illegals. Americans are not allowed. What? This shelter that was actually, and when he was showing the video, it looked like they were trying to hide it like it was a swap meet. They had all these signs up on the chain link fence, which I thought was kind of crazy because you think that would draw people to the area. But the words on the signs didn't correlate with it being a shelter for illegal aliens. But anyway, they were telling him illegals only, Americans not welcome. As American taxpayers, money is paying for that shelter to even be there and be up and running. And those people, those NGOs that are running those types of things, non-governmental organizations, they're being paid with taxpayer money that the government has just decided to hand over to them. And that was another quote that was in the quotes that I was reading of Thomas Sowell's, where being willing to donate the taxpayers' money is not the same as being willing to put your own money where your mouth is. Guaranteed, these politicians wouldn't be giving one dime to these NGOs, because these NGOs are only in business because of greed. And then, well, really, that's it. Greed. They're not really helping these people. They're herding them around like herds of cattle, from one shelter to the other, from the border to a bus, from the bus to a tent, from a processing center to the Greyhound station. Bye. Go wherever you want. They don't care about these people. It's all about making money off the backs of these people. And that's a pretty sickening thought. And this is our money, our hard-earned money, that we have to go out and work and pay taxes on as we earn it, and pay taxes on it as we spend it. And they are using these taxes to support these illegal freeloader invaders who are coming across our borders. This is where our taxpayer money is going right now. And they have the audacity, Kamala Harris, to put on social media that if Trump put into office, he's cutting Medicare and Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security. Is that the only way you can win, Kamala, is by lying? Let's talk about the billions of taxpayer money that you're spending on illegals. And this wasn't money that was allocated by Congress. So where are you stealing it from, Kamala? Social Security? What other programs are you stealing this money from? This doesn't just appear out of nowhere. Congress is the purse strings of this country. They're the ones who will be allocating how taxpayer money should be spent. But the Biden administration has just thumbed their nose at that notion. Dictator Biden can decide whatever the hell he wants to do with our money. And if it's $451 billion to spend on illegals and supporting them this year, then so be it. And folks, that's only the federal dollars. This doesn't include state, city, and county money that's being spent in the state of New York. Those are state taxes now that are being spent. City taxes. We're taxed to death, and then we watch it just being frittered away and giving people a freeload life. And I'm waiting till the last minute to file my taxes this year. They're not getting my money. And I am so tempted to file my tax return and put on there 5,000 dependents and say that's what I figure I'm supporting is 5,000 illegals. It's the truth. There are dependents now, folks. We're not going to get around this in any way. And I find it funny that the IRS is saying not as many people have filed their taxes. Well, heck no. Why would any of us rush to go file our taxes, especially if you owe money, when we know where the money's going to be going? We need to get Trump back into office. We need to pull the power away from the Federal Reserve. We need to get the Treasury back up and running. We need to, there's so many things that we need to do that are out of the realm of what we talk about in everyday conversations that we have, things that are going to better this country and help America stay strong and be the beacon of hope for so many people around this world. But what these people need to understand too is you can't run to America and all your problems are going to be solved. You need to stand up in your own country. You need to gather the strength. These Venezuelan gangs who are going to come here, with this hatred and this just this hate seething out of everything they're saying. I just can't get that little creep's face out of my mind from Venezuela and all the nasty things he's saying on the internet. Why? Oh, and here's the other thing I wanted to point out. Listen, folks, you hear what he's saying on the internet and on social media, right? Why hasn't the Department of Justice gone after him as a terrorist? And if he's been welcomed into the United States, then a domestic terrorist, if that's what the DOJ wants to call him. No, they're going to go after the parent who's at the school board meeting fighting about the disgusting books that the school board has decided to leave in the library for their 10-year-old daughter to get access to. That's the domestic terrorist that they're going to go after. They're going to let this little frickin' creep continue with his social media rant and raves. They're not going to go and arrest him and stop him from doing this. He's going to start a movement. Mark my words, this is going to happen. But he will never be considered a terrorist in the United States. With all that hate oozing out of him, and he's probably a known Venezuelan gang member. Guaranteed. In fact, I'll have my military wife who does the research. She'll dig into it and she'll get the information that I need. And I'll be able to tell you next week if it doesn't come out on the news before then. But these are the types of things that just infuriate me. Why haven't they shut his platform down? Why haven't they shut his voice up? Why hasn't Instagram done something about what he's saying on social media? Hello? I just saw something posted on Facebook and it warned me about graphic or violent content. And I clicked the tab. It was a Bible verse, folks. But this little dude can get on social media and scream and rant and rave all of his hate seething out of every pore about America and what his gang members and fellow Venezuelans need to do to take down this country. And that's A-okay. All right, I'm going to calm down and let my blood pressure come down because I get really upset when I talk about this kind of stuff. But this is the type of stuff I look at and research all day long. And it just infuriates me. But any questions you may have, feel free to comment while we're doing our podcast. If you're looking at the live broadcast through my Angel Families Facebook page, you can always comment and or go to cactusconservative.com and you can send an email to me through the website. And I hope you all have a great weekend. I'll be back here on Tuesday. And thank you for joining today.